Welcome back. It's a nonpartisan effort to get more people involved and engaged in civic life. New Hampshire Together organized a citizen assembly last year. One of the ideas generated from that gathering was drafted as legislation, and that bill to create a single primary ballot will get its first hearing at the State House this week. The co-founder of New Hampshire Together is an entrepreneur and former actor. Andrew Shue joins us this morning on Close Up. Mr. Shue, thanks for being here.
Great to be here, Adam.
So before we talk about the bill, let's talk a little bit about the why of your organization. You know, it's not often people get together anymore if they disagree on anything for political reasons.
Yeah, well, if you think about it, all we hear about is what's going wrong, which is understandable because I think there are three stats that have been motivating our team. Number one, 91% of the country believes that our political system is broken. 74% believe that the American dream is dead or dying. And the most recent one is that for the first time in 120 years, the presidential election ended with the incumbent party being thrown out. So this means that the American people are feeling betrayed, they don't feel heard, they don't trust their institutions. So this is all the bad thing that's going on. Now the question is, what do we do about it? And I started an organization probably 25 years ago called Do Something. This is the moment where the American people become the adults in the room, and we decide to get together and get above the partisan death match. You know, the Yankees-Red Sox times 1,000. That's what's going on here. And this citizen assembly that we did here in New Hampshire was the first ever of its kind in the country, and it was phenomenal in the sense that the people who showed up were feeling timid, scared, skeptical, and 3 days later, after working together and deliberating together, they felt this is the way forward, this is the answer, this is how we are going to build a blueprint together that builds an American agenda that brings everybody to the table. This is not about folks on the far right and the far left where everybody's fearful and demonizing each other. This is a consensus building operation that comes from the American people and then leads to real reform.
Tell us about the big idea and the bill that came out of this, the idea for a single ballot primary. Why did the people in the Citizen Assembly feel this was important?
So I think that part of it is also figuring out what are the root causes. And when you start thinking about the fact that moderates can't get elected anymore, this is not because this is the way our elected leaders want it. It's just the way the game is actually being played. So right now, the independents don't have a strong voice. Here in New Hampshire, you probably have 45 or 50% of the population are independents. And they are kind of treated like stepchildren in these elections where you're forced to join this race or that race. So having a single ballot primary really helps moderate the folks on the Republican side or the Democratic side, and this is what the citizens came up with. This is not, this isn't some group from one side or the other. This is what the citizens believe will help solve this idea that we have too many extreme candidates who are winning the election.
So the idea is that a candidate from the start will have to have a broader appeal than just the narrow party base.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, repairing the bonds of civic community, most people are not motivated by politics or partisanship, and as you've noted, that's kind of what's dominating the day in D.C. and in other locations. They often don't understand why elected people can't work together. How do you keep someone like that you get involved in the civic process through the citizen assemblies from either getting, exhausted by the partisanship or sort of co-opted by it?
Well, I think the key is to start building a community around these folks who are doing this kind of deliberation, and also just making it very accessible. I think there's so much technology, many people have said, obviously, is hurting our society in many ways, but we can use technology to bring folks together, to make it easy for kind of collective intelligence to carry the day, and to build communities around these deliberations where people start to actually feel like they're bringing that neighborhood and that town meeting back together. It's why I'm so excited that we're doing this here in New Hampshire. Again, leading the country, the home of the town meeting. This is where it all began, 250 years ago, and citizens deciding it's up to us. It's up to us. And here in New Hampshire, I hope that all the citizens who are listening will go to newhampshiretogether.us. They can check out the committee hearing that's going to be happening on Tuesday. They could testify on behalf of the citizens, and most of all, you could participate in the next assembly that we do here.
I was curious, in the assembly, how did the mistrust break down? There's such a tremendous problem in politics and public life today. People don't necessarily trust as much as they used to. How did that break down over those 3 days?
Well, basically, people who came in with their walls up, they started realizing that people were listening to them. They felt heard. And then they started seeing that, wow, we kind of have similar values. We have similar interests. And once the values and the interests start to merge, all of a sudden people start to relax and they start to see that we actually are on the same team.
Where do you see this going in the future?
Well, I think the key is to succeed here in New Hampshire. Obviously, the 2.0 version has to be trusted. It has to be credible. Having the media cover it, having participation by the elected leaders who come and witness it and help give advice as to what things they're stuck on. And then I think it's about going to future states, and then eventually we have to do this nationally. And eventually, the administration, whichever administration's in power, has to realize this is the only way forward. You have to bring everybody to the table. This cannot be about one side dominating the other side. You got two wings on the eagle. They both have to be operating together.
All right, Andrew Shue, thanks so much for joining us this morning on Close Up. We appreciate your time, and we'll keep an eye on these citizen assemblies.
Thanks, Adam.
All right, that wraps up this edition of Close Up New Hampshire. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out the politics page on our website and mobile app for more in-depth analysis and to sign up for our weekly newsletter. We'll be back next week. Have a great Sunday.